You know, I love good stories.
Oh.
Because when I saw the thing, I thought you broke your neck basically.
No. Yeah.
So what happened?
So I was doing. It's funny. I was at a high school and I was helping out one of my clients. She's a diving instructor.
Oh yeah.
So I was doing strength and conditioning for the kids.
Yeah.
And like we're teaching them, and we took like a little time out, and we were like kind of getting like water or something like that. And the kids started jumping on these exercise mats that were stacked pretty damn high. They're like 4.5, 5 feet tall or something. Wow. And these kids are like running and jumping on top of them, and I turn around like, stop fucking doing that. That's dangerous. So we go back, we do some like strength training stuff. We like classes all over. They go home, and then it's just me and my client.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about going out. And she was kind of being a little indecisive, so I started getting bored, and I started jumping on those exercise mats like an idiot. So I'm going up, I jump, I make it, I jump down, and I put it up. It's one of those exercise mats where it has like those 4 slits, and you can fold them up.
Right.
And this one had, like, when I jumped on it, it had 3, and the last one was kind of pegged against the stack behind it. So as I jumped off, I took that extra flap and I put it down, and I didn't really even think about it. So the next time I went and jumped up, all the exercise mats slipped from underneath me, and I fell directly on my neck, and my head whiplashed into the ground. And I got a really fucked up concussion, and it just led to like a lot of health problems for like the next 13 months. At first, I just thought it was just like a really bad concussion, and I was kind of laughing it off, like I'm an idiot, I shouldn't have done that. By like month like 4 or 5, like panic started to set in, and I was like, holy fuck, I really fucked myself up. This is bad. And I actually went down like this path of seeing a ton of doctors, therapists, specialists, everybody. Like I was throwing money out there, making like crazy drives, 2.5, 3 hours out, just going everywhere to try to get my health right. And everyone, ironically, like the reason why I kind of talk the way I talk now on like Graham and stuff like that is because that happened, and I went to so many people that kind of got my hopes up and kind of gave me these passive interventions that didn't do anything for me. And it kind of led me into like a really dark place because my health was just kind of completely down.
Yeah, that'd be tough, man. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so when you said month 4 or 5, what were you like going through? What was happening? So like you had a concussion, right? So I assume you had, like dizziness and other problems. And was it pain? What were the issues that you were facing, really?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously when it happens, like you're super light sensitive. You have headaches. You're nauseous. Sometimes you're like vomiting, throwing up. Wow. You can't train. You feel exhausted all the time. You have low energy. And these like persisted for like months, for like 3 to 4 months. And then around that mark, like 4 or 5 months, like I just felt really inflamed. Like I had a ton of inflammation in my body. I had a lot of chronic ache and pain. Like I would just sit down for like 30 minutes and like it would just radiate pain in my hips and my hip flexors and all this stuff around my hip capsule. So it was just like a lot of chronic pain and ailments in my entire body, and I just felt incredibly inflamed. And then a lot of the mental stuff, like when I would try to train, like I would last like 15, 20 minutes, and then I would like fade. I would feel nauseous, feel really lightheaded, and that persisted for a while actually.
And so what were you like before that? Were you training like hard? Like because were you doing FRS stuff before that, or what?
No, so this happened, the concussion happened like 4 years ago. And like dating back, like we could go down like another rabbit hole too. Like this is like on December 28, 2015, I made like a really big change in my life. And 4 months after that, this happened. So I made like all these changes, and I committed to like training and like getting my mind right and like trying to put my emotion and energy into like movement and mobility. And I was going down this path that I'm at now.
Yeah.
And then that happened, and it completely like fucked me up like mentally. Like I was so depressed.
Took you that way, didn't it?
Yeah.
Poor guy. I mean, so that must have been tough, man.
Yeah.
Like, cause the thing is, before I was born, my mother broke her neck. This is why I kind of related to your story.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was like, I remember you said something about his neck, and the thing is, like, I've been following you on Instagram for like ages, right? Just from even those days when you went viral with those videos and FRS community and stuff like that. And then I remember you put that video up, and I think I saw that video of you, because the video of you falling back, right?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh shit. And so when I was thinking about who I would like to interview, I was like, oh, Amir, or Beard.
Yeah, Beard, yeah.
Beard, the best you can be. Does anyone actually know your name, or does just everyone call you Beard, or what?
People call me Beard.
Oh,
yeah.
jeez.
Yeah, well, like all my colleagues, like when I walk into work, they're
Beard.
like, "What's up, Beard?" I love it. I love
the
it.
man behind. Anyway, but yeah, so like I related to your story because before I was born, my mother broke her neck, and my whole life growing up, she had partial paralysis on the left hand side.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So basically, when I was growing up in Zimbabwe, my parents grew up in Zimbabwe, right? And so in I think 1985, 86, my sister was about 3 years old. They had a friend come over from UK, and they said, "Oh, we're going to take him to the dam for the day, right?" And back then, like no one wore seatbelts, and the tires were crap and whatever, So they're driving along, and then boom, tire pops, roll down a hill. My sister flew out the back window. Yeah, my mum broke her neck. My dad was fine, and the guy in the back seat, I think he's either paraplegic or quadriplegic right now.
Oh.
Yeah. So back then, this was in the 80s. They didn't know what the fuck they were doing. So they basically they went, okay, bed rest, 6 months in traction. Rehab was subpar. They basically took part of a fibula and they fused the neck, right? And so her whole life, my mother could never, she could never just pick something, like see that glass, she could never pick that up with her left hand. She walked with a limp. So she has a lot of struggles through that. And the thing is, I always tell people that if I knew what I know now, thanks to FRS and pain science and everything else, now, if I knew it right now, I would be able to help her so much more. But sadly, she passed away like 2.5, 3 years ago from cancer. Sorry. But the thing is, I always feel like if I had known this stuff now, I could have made a big difference in her life. So I really related to your story when you were like, jacked my neck up, I was fucked up, and then you got out of it. Like, because that must have been tough, you know? Like, I mean, when you were going through it, what were kind of the things, like your high moments and your low moments, what were those?
Yeah, I mean... we can go back like even like before that, like how I was.
Yeah.
Like, I used to have like severe depression, severe anxiety, PTSD. Like I had a lot of like depressive episodes and like bipolar symptoms, like manic highs and like recklessness, and like really depressive lows. And this persisted for a long time, and it got worse and worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
And that day I was kind of telling you about, December 28, 2015, when I kind of had like that epiphany and things were changing, like. Getting my mind, like my mental health, was one of those goals that I had at that moment.
Yeah.
So like for the next 4 months before that fall, like I try to have like this new perspective, this new lens. I was happier. I was more grateful. I thought I was really going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I was starting to try to unravel what steps were necessary for me to get my health back, physically, mentally, everything. Because before that point too, before the fall, my mobility was like completely shit. My body was super stiff and tight. And I already had some chronic aches and pains before. Like I had a lot of limitations before that fall. And I think after it really brought things to light with the amount of inflammation that I felt in my body. But prior to that, like my body was already a mess. Like I was riddled with injuries. I would freaking sneeze and like pinch a nerve in my neck, pinch a nerve. Like shit would just happen. Like I wasn't a resilient person at all. So after that fall, like, the first few months, like, I try to play it off like it's just a concussion, like, I'm fine, you're not going to dip back into, like, your depressive episodes and stuff like that. I was, like, committed to it. And then, like, as it didn't get better and, like, my health was going away, like, and it started getting worse, like, I fell right back down in that hole. Like, I was really, like, really depressed and really sad and really mad at myself. I was like, you fucked this up. Like, you had an opportunity and, like, you were on the good path and you fucked it up. And I was like, you don't deserve it. And I kind of went back to, like, the self-hate. Yeah, and, like, all the negative thought. And, like, I was so disappointed in myself. And I was like, this isn't right for you. Like, this vision that you had that night, it's not yours. Like, you don't get it anymore. You lost it.
You don't deserve it.
Yeah, you lost it. Like, you had the opportunity, you fucked it up. So, like, I got into a bad place again.
Damn.
For sure.
That's intense, dude.
Yeah.
So what got you out?
I mean, after, like, months and months of, like, going to every type of therapist, trying to get help from their specialty, like, whatever their method was, I actually got in touch with a friend. After I posted that video, actually, this was, I don't even know how much longer it is. One of my old friends saw that video of me falling, and she hit me up, and she's, like, a health coach, and she has a lot of amazing information on just health in general. So she hit me up, she's like, dude, can we talk? Like, are you okay? Have you rebounded from this? And I was like, no, like, I would love to sit down and talk with you because I've always respected your mind for this type of stuff.
Yeah.
So we started talking, and then she actually did, like, an assessment on me and took, like, a lot of background information, and she found out that I probably had a lot of gut health issues that I didn't know about, and I probably had during my childhood years, which probably led to a lot of the mental stuff that I was dealing with growing up. So she actually got me on a really good path and hooked me up with, like, a naturopath where we did a lot of studies and found out I had, like, leaky gut syndrome. She helped me transition to the ketogenic diet, which I did for, like, 5 to 6 months. to really help some of the gut bacteria that I had and the gut inflammation.
It would have helped with your concussion as well.
Yeah, exactly, and helped with my concussion. So after I went on the ketogenic diet, after like 4 or 5 months, like I started feeling freaking really good. Like a lot of the inflammation that I had started to dissipate. My mental health started getting better. I had more clarity, less anxiety, less depression, and I started being able to train again. So like that's what really kind of got me back and going. It was my friend Stephanie Obergozo. She's freaking amazing. I love her.
Good job, Steph.
Shout out.
Wow. I mean, but then where does FRS fit into it? So like, where did that come into it?
Yeah, so like I always, like that was always the goal. For me, it was like get to FRS. And then I got like injured and I went down that path and I was like, you know what? It was stupid of me, like thinking about it now, is like I thought like I had to get healthy before going to that seminar.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I was just like, oh shit, like I need to find my health first. I was an idiot. But it's funny because people hit me up all the time now and they're like, I don't feel like I'm right for this seminar yet. I have to get right. I'm like, no, trust me. I thought the same thing. Like the sooner the better. So that was always my goal, but it really like, so I went to FRC September 2017, so a little over 2 years ago. And it was after I started feeling better from going and fixing some of the gut health issues and feeling like I had my mojo back. So then I went out and did it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And then that's when you just started going down the rabbit hole of that.
Yeah, the last like 2.5 years have been like, for me, like when I think about like where I was like 2-3 years ago and where I am now, I'm like, holy shit, a lot of change is possible. Like a lot of things can fucking change in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff has changed for you. What are the biggest changes?
So many things. I mean, just like my overall mental health it's 9-day difference. Like I don't feel anxiety. I don't feel depression. Like obviously normal life stuff will happen and you might feel a little bummed out about it, but you pick right back. It's like normal stressors now.
Yeah.
So it's not like how it was whatsoever. So that's completely 9-day difference as far as anxiety, stress, depression goes. Completely like gone. As far as like my physical health, this may even be more of a dramatic change than that. Because like I said, like my body was like so stiff and tight and restricted, and I had a lot of chronic aches and pains, and I was so injury prone. And now I feel like I have so much more freedom, so much more strength and control. Yeah. I just feel like I'm on a good path. Like I feel like I have so many more things I want to accomplish and achieve, and I think the last 2 or 3 years have really shown me how much is possible to change. So I'm like, I want another like 4 or 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I want to see what else I can do. Yeah.
What do you want to do? What's the Mount Everest?
Yeah.
What's the next summit, basically?
There never is, and that's what I love about like our biological makeup. Like we don't know what is truly possible. Like, and if you just put in hard work and you do consistent inputs, just win the day. And that's my mindset. It's like win today, get as much healthy work that you can today, and then just see how much you can progress over the years. But I want to be able to do some crazy shit with my body. Like I want to be able to do whatever I want, whether I'm super fucking mobile or super strong in mid ranges, end ranges. So there is no really end game. It's just like how much change can I create and how much craziness can the human body achieve in a healthy manner, and then kind of bring that to light and kind of show people like this is what.
Yeah.
So
I suppose your guiding light is not so much this.
Yeah.
It's curiosity.
Yeah.
It's like, what can I do? Let's see. It's like more playful.
Sure.
So it's more like you're just like, oh, I can do this today, or you're more like learning. So it's I suppose there's more intrinsic sort of motivation for you, right?
Yeah.
It comes from within. Like I just want to see, rather than I would like to have a 6-pack, or I would like to bench 500 kilos. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So it's more so that intrinsic.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Totally. And like I look up to like a lot of people, and I looked up a lot of people 4 years ago, people I would see on social media and stuff like that, and they could do these amazing things with their body, and like I see like many different people and they have a different thing that they're really amazing at, and I see all these things and I'm like, how do I create all this in one? I'm like, I want all of that.
It's funny, I just imagine you going, what can I do? Literally, oh jeez.
But yeah, I mean, they're all amazing, and I'm so like, I'm here compared to them, and like I'm like,
who's them?
I mean,
the hunters of the world.
Yeah, like Hunter Cook is definitely a big inspiration. Like I always looked up to John Yoon too. Like his movement quality is
crazy.
Insanity. His freedom, his fluidity, his control is insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hunter's overall range of motion and mobility is fucking wild. people like Strong Camps, DJ Murakami, his brute strength.
He's just ridiculous.
Yeah. So it's like, how do you create like the mobility of a hunter with like the freedom, fluidity, and control of a John, and the style, and then the brute strength of like a DJ?
Jeez. That's a three-headed monster.
Yeah.
Chimera.
Yeah.
When does they do something like that? Some Chimera project or something?
Yeah, I don't know what
those three. Literally, that's like the three heads system.
Yeah. But I'll tell you who really got me into this was Conor McGregor, actually.
Conor
really? McGregor, yeah. So like
with Ito.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like getting into Conor McGregor 4 or 5 years ago, and he kind of bursted on the scene. The first thing that I noticed was like his movement quality. I was like, he's got really good range of motion, mobility, movement quality, control, and he's very free and fluid in his movement. I was like, this is unique, and I haven't seen this before. And I started just paying attention to him, and then I saw that he was training with Ido Portal. So I went down that rabbit hole, and when I initially started, it was all like Ido Portal method and that type of mindset, and then it's kind of evolved to more functional range systems and scientific principles, evolutionary backgrounds.
Ido was he's like one of those guys, like Kelly Starrett, right? Everyone knows Kelly Starrett.
Sure.
Because he was one of the OGs, like, Ido's the OG on YouTube, putting out the video. It was like, whoa, like shit, like look at him do that thing, and you know, he's one of those guys who he's kind of like started this whole movement thing.
Yeah.
You know, I think it was there before, but I think it's become much bigger now because of guys. I mean, I think he's like a pioneer.
He is. I don't love him as a human being. I have some feelings towards him as on a human level. But like, he is a pioneer, and he brought a lot of this stuff to light as far as movement training, and a lot of us, like, we went down like the rabbit hole when we saw
Dre
this.
Went down. Well, Dre trained with him before Dre was Dre.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Before he did FRS, I'm pretty sure he trained with him.
Yeah.
You know, I remember seeing this thing because when I was in chiropractic school, I finished in 2012, and then I finished uni, and then I was horrendous, like mobility wise. I could squat like not even 90 degrees, fall over. Multiple ankle sprains, just like a ball of, shit, basically. I was horrendously bad, right? I was a good dancer, but that's about it. You know, so, and then I remember, that's when I started learning a bit more, because I was always quite interested in it, and I went like, DNS and stuff like that?
DNS, yeah.
Yeah, I did like tons of DNS and stuff like that, and then I did, Kelly Starrett, and then I started seeing, Ido, and then you just started going down this rabbit hole. And I remember this guy, Dre, was like popping up, Andrea Spina. I was like, what the fuck is this guy? You know, this guy just rants. He just rants about it. This guy's so angry about everything, and he just rants about stuff. But the shit makes sense.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this guy's good, like, And then I agree with that. I sort of saw Ido stuff, but I wasn't so much like you, the movement side. I was more like the therapy side.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. How can I take this and make my patients do it? Help them do it. I did a little bit myself, but I was more interested in the therapy side. And so I started seeing Dre and Ido, all those guys pop up, and then. Yeah, you just see the evolution of them. Oh. You know, I think Ido was massive in the beginning, but I think now he's more consolidated. Now it's smaller, and now there's so many other people like this. John Ewan. There's like online movement university. There's so many people doing now hand balance now, because I think Instagram and everyone's like kind of doing this whole movement thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's become much bigger and greater. I think FRS has played a big part in that.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah, I think he really took it to another level.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta imagine like the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, the system is just gonna blow up. Like, it's already like picking up major steam, and I feel like the next 3 to 5 years, it's really gonna take off.
I mean, I think it's huge. Like, I love it. Because one of the things when I moved from Australia, I was like, I want to do this thing. I've seen it. All I saw was on YouTube. I want to do it. And I actually went do you know Nicole Payne? I don't know if you met her. Payne. She went to university with Dre. You might have seen her. She lives in London. I worked for her. One of the things that drew me to her was that she's done FRC. I was like, oh, the FRC, that's so cool. Because in Australia, no one had ever done that ever. Yeah. No one had even heard of it. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. So I went, and when I moved to London, I got a job with her, and I was like, oh yeah. So then she went down that rabbit hole. And I was like, oh, nice.
It's a tremendous rabbit hole,
dude.
I've been the last 2.5 years, I've been just in this dark hole.
Yeah, man. of cell biology.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. Like, I was talking to Hunter about it, and I said that I've done all these courses. I've done all the release courses. I did FR Sparring twice. I've done this. I've done that. And I'm only just getting it now, and I still don't get half of it. I get it now. I think I understand it on a much better level.
Yeah.
But there's still things that there's still much more to go.
Oh, for sure.
There's still way too much to go into.
Definitely. And like when I first did it, like the first 6 months, I'm like, I fucking got this shit. It really it does. You have that light bulb moment at the seminar, like, oh shit, this makes so much sense. But like looking back now, like 2.5 hours or years later, I'm like, yeah, did you really understand the depths of it? And like I'm sure in 3 years I'm gonna look back in this moment right now. I'm like, did you really understand the depths of it? It just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah, I mean, what have you done? FRC, Kinstretch?
I've done it all. Yeah, all the FRs.
You done all the FRs as well. But do you need any manual stuff? I
don't do any manual stuff now. I just like going, learning from them.
Cool.
Learning from Shivers, smart dude.
Yeah, smart guy. Wow. So what other things have you done? Like learning wise? What do you want to learn about now?
I mean, I just want to keep evolving kind of the thought process that I currently have with the system and getting a little bit deeper of understanding of applying the system. But like as far as doing anything else, I did Ido Portal's movement camp. I went to Thailand and did the movement.
Oh wow,
camp.
when was that?
That was in 2018 actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So that was post FRS.
That was post, yeah. And
How
I
was that?
It was always something like because he was the reason that I kind of went down this path with McGregor. I told myself you still have to go and just experience it. I mean I think it's a little bit different with McGregor and why he's kind of failed a couple times here and there. I think it's more of a focus thing. He lost focus and he underestimated someone like a Diaz. When he comes back the second time, it was a good fight and he won that fight when he was more focused, more committed. I mean, you go from where he's been. His story's fucking crazy. For him to go from where he was to where he is now and to succeed at everything and have everything you could ever imagine, you get fucking cocky. Yeah, you're gonna get a little. Get a little content in your ways. You may slack off a little bit. You're like, I'm the shit. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I knock out everyone in one round. I don't need to train hard. So you could see that he was gassed after the second round, and perhaps he wasn't training as hard. And he moved up a weight class, so he was eating himself up to 170 pounds. So
his cardio program was shit.
Yeah, his aerobic work was definitely not all that great. So you could tell he kind of got a little cocky with that fight, and it just didn't work out for him. He came back, redeemed himself. But I think with the Khabib fight, once again, a focus thing, a cocky thing, an ego thing. But if you hear him talk now, he seems just completely rejuvenated, completely focused, determined. And I'm like, this is OG Conor McGregor. This is OG Conor McGregor plus the evolution of Conor McGregor. It's a new McGregor.
That's what happened when you get humbled by Khabib, man.
Yeah.
Khabib humbles you.
Yeah.
That's what he said. Khabib, and I'm a Khabib fan. I love
Khabib.
You're
okay,
I love it because also I'm Muslim as well. So for me, it's wow, I've seen this guy. He's such a big athlete,
Yeah.
And I mean, some of the things Conor McGregor said, I was like, fuck, that's a bit dick.
Conor.
But I understand. It's trash talk. It is business at the end of the day. They're trying to sell fights, but it was damn.
He crossed some lines.
Yeah, it's I mean.
He crossed some lines when he bring in religion and wives and stuff like that. And
his dad and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really come on, dude.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he didn't. The thing was, he didn't give Khabib the respect.
Yeah.
And Khabib was, he deserves the respect. And he made him. He even said it. He goes, I'm going to humble him.
Yeah.
I will make him. I mean, he did. Look, because he fucking annihilated him, he made him humble. And he should thank Khabib.
Yeah.
If he wins in the future, he should thank Khabib for demolishing him.
Man,
that's the thing. That's what happens when you're not in the right frame of mind.
100%.
But when you get cocky, frame of mind is so important. I think that's why your kind of story is so great because you have your frame of mind seems so awesome. I think that a lot of people don't How did you get to where? I mean, obviously the diet was a big part, right, for you.
Sure, I mean, it played a role, but.
But how did you how did you transition? How did you?
Yeah.
I mean, you were there, and then now you're here.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Well, I mean, kind of going back to the growing up, that was never my mindset. I was, to be honest, I was a weak individual. I was broken.
Really.
I just had a lot of issues, and I had no confidence in myself whatsoever on any type of level. I never felt like I was smart enough, good enough, this or enough, not talented enough. I always sucked in school. I was a failure every step of the way. I was a complete mess. My life was a joke.
Really?
And I went down a lot of bad paths with substance abuse and violence and crimes and doing stupid shit, being a reckless kid. So I was never that determined type, never that focused type, passionate type. And I was kind of just wasting my life away. And when I had that moment on that day that I was telling you about earlier. It was inspired by someone like Conor McGregor, because I would watch him talk, and his belief in himself and his determination and his passion for his craft. And like, that was young McGregor too, so he was hungry as fuck at that point.
You'd read his fucking book before a fight, he'd be like, I believe, like, he'd say all that shit to himself.
Yeah, like OG McGregor, when he was coming up, dude, his mindset was fucking bulletproof. And I would watch all of his videos, and I would just internalize it. I'm like, holy shit, like... And I started just believing it, because, I mean, that's the crazy thing about the human mind. And it's the same thing, like, when I talk about, like, biological adaptation on a physical level, our minds can adapt based on our inputs. Our inputs are positive or negative thoughts. For all of my life, for 28 to 29 years, it was negative thought, negative thought, negative thought. I became a very negative, poisonous human being. Once I started flipping that switch and turning it into more positivity, and I gave myself consistent inputs every single day, I became a positive person. So, like... It sounds like so cliche, but it's just like, no, I mean, like, what am I trying to say?
It sounds, I know what you're saying. It sounds, to me, it's like, oh, well, that's fucking simple.
Yeah, it's like, just believe in yourself. Like, just stay positive.
Just fucking believe.
Yeah, like, just be happy, believe in yourself. But like, no, literally, like, if you have to lie to yourself in the beginning and be like, you're a positive person, you're going to achieve so much. If you have to lie to yourself, do it every single fucking day for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then it just becomes a habit, and you just become positive, and you just start thinking like that without even thinking about it.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that really interests me. Actually, lately, it's interested me a lot. Is because I've realized that people don't understand why they do things. And the thing is, I mean, no one understands why they do shit. You know what I mean? Because you walk into a room and you see something and you feel a certain way, or you feel like, oh, your brain thinks of this, thinks of that, you know, or you crave a food or whatever else, you know, a lot of unconscious stuff happens. And I think that it's literally like, if you think of FRS model, bioflow, right? Yeah. So if I sit down all day, you know, eventually I become, because that's the input my body's getting, is not moving too much, you know, so your body will adapt to the stresses placed on it. I think your mind is a lot of the same way, because I think your mind, the thoughts you think, will actually physically change your mind. I think your mind, the thing is, we don't have the capacity to look at it. You know what I mean? Because we can look at muscles and biopsies and stuff. We can't take a brain biopsy.
It's so complex.
Yeah, so like, you mean you can't take a piece of someone's brain out. I can take a piece of your muscle and look cool. That's what happened. Yeah. I can look at a tendinopathy. I can look at like cadavers, but I don't think anyone ever looks at the mind. And I think that if you look at the mind of someone who's negative, someone who's positive, I think you'll start to notice traits, and I think physical traits. So I think your mind will also physically adapt. You know, there's a Buddhist guy, I think a Buddhist monk. He's maybe the happiest person in the world. He goes, I practice being happy every day, half an hour. He goes, I'm happy. He goes, I just practice it. And then what happens? I'm fucking happy all the time.
Dude, seriously, like, man, when I was younger, I would go up to the mirror, I would look at myself, and I would hate it. Like, I would say some fucked up shit.
Really?
Like, I hate you, you're worthless, you're not good enough, you don't have anything to offer, you're stupid, this and that. Every day I look in the mirror today, like nowadays, I'm like, you're gonna achieve so much. You're a fucking savage. Like, you're grateful for this. You're grateful for that.
That beard is fucking sick.
Yeah, I'm just like, so like, I'm not even doing it to try to be positive. It's just kind of what I've kind of turned to now. Like, this is what I've evolved to.
Yeah, the James Clear thing. You change your beliefs, change your habits, change your life.
Yeah.
You know, if your identity is something, you will do a certain way. It's funny because I remember once I was outside. It was cold. Like in London, it's like 2 degrees. Right, I'm outside. It's cold. We're doing ring stuff. And I was thinking, maybe I should put something inspirational on Instagram. And the first thing that happened was like, you're not an inspirational guy. Don't put anything up. So the moment my belief was there, you're not inspirational. I was like, don't do it then. Yeah. But then I realized, oh wait, because I understand it. I think on a better level, because I understand neuroscience and stuff like that. I was like, wait, because I'm thinking that I'm gonna act like this. Like, no, so I have to actually short circuit that. Yeah. So I was like, alright, I'm gonna do it anyway. So I put something up, and like fucking maybe no one was inspired by it, but like maybe one person was.
Sure.
But because of that belief, I acted a certain way, and so it takes you so far just by those beliefs that you hold. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Oh, it's huge. It's so critical. Like and like in the beginning, like I said, like you have to do whatever you have to do. Like if you have to lie to yourself, like go ahead, go to the mirror and lie to yourself.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good science on that actually. Like people who they say just fake it, like fake it till you make it, and then eventually you'll start to believe.
Yeah, I mean when it comes to like just thoughts in general, yeah, you have to in the beginning you have to just like you have to tell yourself this type of stuff, and it might feel a little robotic and not as genuine, but over time your body will adapt, and that's just who you become now.
Yeah.
But also it's like, it's about mastering your process. Like, you can't just like have like, oh, I'm just gonna have happy thoughts and then not do shit about it. You know, you can't go back on your couch and start fucking off. Like, you have to like put, like, you have to do work. Like, you have to put good inputs in, whether it's physical training, whether it's learning and educating yourself, whether it's being a better friend or doing stuff for people, being kind or whatever it is. You have to do shit that makes you remember, like, oh, you're doing good things. Like, you're valuable.
So, maybe I'm a good person. I've done good things.
Totally. It's like, all right, like, maybe I fucked up in the past, but I'm making the right steps right now. Let me keep making these right steps. And if you go down that path where you put in good work and you're being positive and you believe in yourself, and you give it time, that's the thing, people quit so fucking quickly. If you give it time, adaptation takes place and you evolve. That's what we need to do. Like, when we say, like, 3 weeks to develop a habit, 21 days, right? We're creating adaptations. That's essentially what it is. About 3 to 4 weeks to create that type of adaptation, that change, that something happens on a chemical level. It's so critical, and we have to just have consistency. And just too many people, they want the end game so bad that they don't fall in love with the process and the grind.
Journey, yeah.
The process is so, and that's what I'm most grateful for now. Is like, in the beginning I was like, I just want to get to the end game. Like, I want to create like this crazy body that can do everything and have this platform to share with. But today I'm like, I love this process. I love the grind. I love the struggle. I love when I get hurt. Like, I genuinely, like, when I get like emotionally hurt about something, maybe I get invested into something and I get let down. Like, obviously it fucking sucks in the moment, but like, I've been through so much where I know I'm going to come back up, and when I come back up, I always come back stronger. So I always look at it, this is an opportunity to get even stronger. And for me, like, my mindset's always like, I want gains. I want physical, mental, emotional, intellectual, environmental, financial. I want all the fucking gains. So if this is going to give me an avenue for gains, I will take the temporary pain and sadness for that growth. And I think a lot of, like, going on another rant, like, in our society, like, we're so scared of like emotional pain and like getting hurt and failing and being looked at wrong. It's like, no, that's where all the fucking magic happens. Go out there and be a fucking failure. Go out and just suck at something and fail and get hurt, and have that mindset that you have to embrace the shit right now. You're going to come back stronger, more motivated, more clear on your journey, and you're going to have so many more lessons to learn from, and you gain wisdom through that shit, and that's just going to push you even further forward. So I just look at it as an opportunity, for sure. I think
a lot of people, they don't have the contrast. I think maybe some people, they're brought up in a way that they don't like pain. They don't like, I don't know, their parents maybe shielded them or whatever. But maybe for you, like, do you think that you needed to have all that shit for those 20 years? It's could set you now, because if you didn't have those, think about like that contrast that you didn't have. Would you be as great as you are now without that massive contrast you had in the beginning? That like, you know, all the stuff you told me about, like the really negative stuff, this negative stuff, the injury. Do you think you would be here now without that all that? Because you basically you lived in dirt for so long. So now you're like, well, I've fucking had worse. So who's it fuck? Because you've had worse. You're like, oh well, fuck.
Dude, I'm so grateful for everything that's fucking happened. Like, I have zero like regret or like spite or like bitterness about something. Good, I'm just like, thank whatever, higher being or whatever, because I'm not very religious, but thank whatever for me to go through all that shit. And then for it to be able to completely change, and for me to have this reality now. Because that reality was so fucked up for me. It was so dark and miserable. So, like, everyone always asks me, like, how do you stay motivated? How do you stay, like, so upbeat? It's like, literally, my life used to be so horrible that if things are just pretty solid today, that's a huge fucking win. But, I mean, luckily, like, things have become, like, more than just solid. Things are going good, and, like, I always have that reminder of, like, my past and what I had to go through. So I wouldn't change it for the world. Everything made me who I am today. And I'm super lucky that, like, I had to go through that shit. And obviously at the time, like, I was a fucking baby about it. I'm like, this fucking sucks. Like, I have all these problems. No one knows what I'm dealing with. Like, I just had such a shitty mentality. And I was a shitty person, to be honest with you. I was poisonous. But yeah, like today, it gives me perspective. It gives me gratitude. It's like, nothing can be as bad as what it was. I know a lot of bad things can happen, and I'm sure, and like our mortality is like the whole Kobe thing, like it's always a reminder. It's like anything can fucking happen at any moment. But at the same time, like just be grateful for today and make the most of it. Like it's every day is such an opportunity. It's like what kind of perspective are you going to go into the day with? Are you going to win the day, or it's going to be another day that you lose,
or just another day you just do nothing with it?
Yeah, and that's a loss to me. That's just you're losing right there.
What are sort of 3 things or 5 things you want to kind of see yourself, or where do you kind of want to be in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, so like my initial like vision that I had that night of like when I wanted to start changing things was create this human body that can do amazing things, create a huge platform, and then be able to share these type of messages, whether it's physical stuff, like if we're talking like how do we create better movement quality, or maybe it's mental stuff, like how do we find ourselves, how do we find passions, how do we have new perspectives, how do we become more positive. Like, so there was many things that at that moment like I wanted to create for myself and then be able to share with people on a huge platform. So my goal is to develop my platform right now, to be quite honest with you. Like I love what I'm doing right now because like I love one-on-one training in person, and I want to continue doing that probably for the rest of my life. But I want to also start growing my platform to a bigger level. Like I want more people watching so I can have a bigger impact on people and being able to offer more value. And I see people like Gary Vee, like as far as the motivational aspect of it, David Goggins, another motivational person.
His story is crazy.
Yeah, totally. And like I want to have that type of impact on people, but also be able to offer stuff like on a physical level, on a nutritional level, on just like daily lifestyle habits that we should be doing. Like there's so many levels to health, and I want to be able to address as many as possible. So that's my overall dream is like build a huge platform and get these messages on all these different layers of health out there and see how many people you can help.
What are your top 3 things of health then? What, if you the most important things for you?
I
know we said positive mind frame. That's probably number 1.
I mean, there's so many layers of health, and like obviously perspective and your mindset is absolutely, it's critical. It's 100%. Like you have to master that. But like what I've gone through with like gut health and like movement quality type training, these are 2 huge avenues that are not mastered by most people. Like a lot of people have gut health issues that they don't have a freaking clue about, and it's just because of how we've evolved as a society in the food industry now. Like with the amount of processed foods, sugary drinks, the antibiotics in the meat, the factory farming bullshit, the pharmaceuticals, the drug company. Like there's so many elements that are destroying people's gut. And they don't know because this is a new norm now. They just adapted to this and like, this is just normal to feel like shit. It's like, no, you have some fucked up underlying issues that you need to address. So gut health and nutrition as a whole it's critical. And a lot of people talk like, oh, my diet's pretty healthy. Like I hear that all the time. My diet's pretty healthy. Like, last night I might have had some tiramisu and like this and that, a glass of wine. It's not, usually I'm pretty healthy. It's like I'm not trying to police you into eating correct all the time, but it's like your biology doesn't give a fuck, and your biology has no clue what you're putting into your system, because this is relatively new in the evolutionary timeline, the way we've kind of evolved in modern times. So all this shit, your biology is still trying to figure out. Your gut health is just getting fucking scorched right now, so we have a lot of fucking issues on a gut health level, which is manifesting to neurological issues and mental disorders and stuff that I personally dealt with, like learning disabilities, social anxiety, fucked up speech, like speech impediment, and like other stuff that like it was pretty tough as a kid kind of going through. So there's a lot of shit that's going on with gut health, so that's one of them. And then it's movement quality training. Like once again, like modern day human exercise, kind of like Dre talks about. Like we've just created this randomized exercise protocol, and everyone in modern times is like, oh, this is how we exercise. No, we just created this shit like 200 years ago. We don't really know like how Homo sapiens should genuinely be training at this point in time. But if you master your movement quality, it relates back to everything. Like you have better movement capacity, you do everything in life better. Whether it's performance training, weight training, sports, daily life, being resilient to the world, no matter what it is, movement quality training, we all have to be doing it. Like when we're talking about like the pyramid, like it's not like weight training and skills and competition and sports at the bottom. Like it's your foundational stuff. Like build good movement quality with strong, resilient joints, build an aerobic system, and then you stack on top of that. Like that's your foundation. The tip and the small stuff, go skills, weight training, skills, sports, do all that shit. But we have it ass backwards in the fitness industry, and everyone's movement quality is kind of fucked up right now. People are having so many joint dysfunction in their like 40s and 50s, like hip replacements, shoulders are all fucked up, spine. Like it's hard for me to find a good spine nowadays, and it's making me sad because people can like get up and down off the ground easily. No. We're the homo.
Telling me, chiropractor.
Yeah, yeah, and like for us, like we always look back at like evolutionary biology, and like Homo sapiens used to be these amazing athletic creatures, biological creatures. And now we're like these stiff robots doing like movement patterns and perfect biomechanic squats, and we can't move outside of neutral spine. It's ridiculous.
I think with that that's something I agree with on a massive level. I think it's in a way I don't blame people because at the same time our human evolution made us look for the easy way out. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Why not? That's what human evolution was. Yeah. If something's fucking easy food, I'm gonna eat it. Yeah. Easy calories, eat it. That's how we're wired. You know. Do I need to work? Should I be burning calories, or should I be saving my calories because I possibly might not get in later? I think our environments are really mismatched to our brains. So before, I think a lot of us, the reason we moved so well and did these things was because we had to. You had to climb a tree. You had to spear a fucking lion. You had to shit in the woods. You know, you had to do these things because if you didn't, you would die, or you wouldn't pass your genome on. So we're hardwired to do this thing. Now we don't, but now it's also our lives have become easier. Yeah. We don't need to hunt, so therefore so that's why it's very hard. That's why we have these obesity crises. We have this movement crisis. It's not just because I think people are lazy. It's because people are hardwired like that. Yeah. Human beings, if there was a path here and there was a shortcut, everyone takes a shortcut.
100%.
Everyone, because that's human nature.
Exactly.
That is human nature. So I think that we have to learn. This is what I'm starting to get really interested in now. It's human nature. And like, oh shit, I'm starting to understand. How can we like hack that? Because human nature is human nature. That's what people are like normally. So it's like I don't blame them. It's not their fault. Yeah. That's just how they're behaving because of that's how the humans behave.
Totally. And this kind of goes back to what we were talking about before as far as mindset and positivity. Like our biology bias negativity, like the negativity bias. Like we would have to remember negative shit for our survival. Like, hey, let's not go over there. There's a fucking bear, or like whatever it was.
Like that guy, you could fucking stab me. I'm gonna trust that guy.
Yeah, like so negativity bias was a good thing through evolution or primitive times because it might have saved our ass. But like you said, like if you don't understand these biological qualities in today's time, they could fuck with you. So like understanding your biology and understanding what we are and having that awareness, so when you start having those thoughts or whatever it may be, like you remind yourself like no, like this is your evolution, like remember, like this is trying to fuck with you, like you have to take power, like you have to take control back from the conscious mind, like you have to like rip that away, like no, this is what I'm gonna do.
Otherwise you'll go unconscious. I mean that's why things like Buddhism and meditation have been around thousands of years. Some guy realized thousands of years ago that oh shit, like people don't know what the hell they're doing. They're not conscious. Yeah. That's why everyone's trying to get all woke and stuff, because it's a consciousness. Yeah. And it's like when you think about something like anxiety, right? Anxiety over something. What is anxiety when you really just boil it down? It's just a fear response. Your body's saying, hey, I don't feel comfortable. I'm a bit scared of something. Yeah. Which is, in a way, it was good back then. And it's just a biological thing. Now your body has just become anxious over things that are not going to kill you. But it's like chronic low-grade anxiety about the fucking weather or your finances or, going out in public. Now, that's just your body's biological reaction to it. Sure. And it's learned that and it's become ingrained in you because that's how you've always acted.
And we feed into it.
We feed into it. And the thing is, maybe you had trauma as a kid. Maybe you had you had some fucked up things happen to you. So your brain, it's not your fault because your brain was constantly having those inputs. So your brain started to just react like that. Our brains and our bodies are designed to think quickly, react quickly, and based on their previous experiences. So if you have all these negative experiences, if you just all sit down all day, you don't move around, you just eat crap, your body's just going to become like that because it thinks, oh, this is what happens. It's like when there's studies on kids when they're in the womb, if their mother has a lot of cortisol or if the mother eats too much or eats too little, the baby will come out and will have the appetite will different based on because the baby thinks, oh shit, outside's the world, but I'm not going to see food. If I see food, I better eat it because I don't know when my next meal's going to come.
Yeah.
That's literally how it works. Just by the mother's hormonal response, the baby will start to act a certain way.
Yeah.
It's crazy when you think about how the way we act in our minds and everything. It's just ridiculous.
Stress, like chronic stress, is like it's destroying people. It's absolutely destroying people, and we have so much chronic stress on so many levels.
Yeah.
Whether it's nutritional, whether it's personal stresses, family stresses, work stresses, financial. You're like
not enough likes on social media stress.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna go there, like popularity and like opinions and judgments. Like people have so much stress and so much stimulants, and then it just wreaks havoc on them.
Dude, but it takes so much effort. I mean, I've done it before.
Yeah.
I went into something like, oh shit, this person gave me likes. Oh, I wonder why. Like, and I think to myself, it's like it's hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard not to just be like go down that road of everything, and it's like it's really difficult. So I do feel sorry for people out there. I feel like it's not their fault. You know, I feel like I know as much as we say people should take responsibility, I also feel like it's not people's fault because they don't understand and they're just acting how they know how to act.
Yeah.
Do you know? So can you blame them in a way? Maybe someone needs to just slap them up and say, hey, wake up.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's kind of like what I hope for. Like when you told me like what's the end game or end goal, like
exactly,
it's like build a platform and like share this type of stuff
so people can see it.
And people just have like a new awareness, like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like maybe I'll start incorporating this in my daily life. And then through consistency, like things start changing.
Yeah, I think that's a good end game, because I think that with everyone out there that even I don't realize. I think I'm gonna put out one post and it's gonna change someone's life. No, it might not, but it might change their trajectory a little bit. It might take them from here and change them that way. It might. But that trajectory is now. If they keep going, they're gonna end up in a different space.
Yeah.
And your trajectory is always changing. So I think you just got to put out those vibes in the world.
100%. Yeah. And like you said, like even if no one gets anything from it, like don't even like. And I know, like, in the past, like, I've been terrible at this, like, being offended, like, oh, no one liked this, or, like, this and that, or, like, feeling, like, insecure about something vulnerable.
No one valued my stuff.
Yeah, no one validated me, like, oh, was this the bad post, or this and that, but, like, we have to, like, honestly, the best way to look at it is, like, honestly, no one really gives a shit about you that much to, like, remember it as much as you do, like, so as much torment that you have for yourself, like, everyone's already forgotten about it, and they're already judging someone else for their other shit, like, who cares, like, at the end of the day, like, judgments and opinions, like, everyone's going to happen no matter what. If you do good, if you do bad, they're always going to be there. And to be quite honest, people don't think about you in particular.
Because they're thinking about themselves.
They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about, did you look at me this way? We all have that fucked up part of us. Yeah. And the more awareness we create on that, it's like, who gives a shit? Like, I'll post whatever the fuck I want. Like, who cares, like, what people think?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, George St. Pierre, his one was really awesome. He says, when he had a big championship, he goes, when I have a championship fight, I go and drive in my car and I look at the lady and say, she don't give a shit if I lose. You know what I mean? She doesn't give a shit. And he goes, that guy, he goes, he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't give a shit because he gets all worked up about, like, oh, I'm going to lose. What happens if I lose my belt? And then you realize that fucking half people don't give a shit. Yeah. No one cares. Only he cares.
Yeah. The world's not thinking about you. You're thinking about the world. It's like
It's. I mean, there's a saying that in a room full of 100 people, and 100 people, one will love you, one will hate you, the other 98 won't give a shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, fuck, okay, cool, great.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fuck, man.
This is gonna be a random segue, but like going into it was on my head when we were talking about something earlier, but so movement quality training, like it's so like. I think in our society, I don't know why this rant's going to come to me, but in this society, like, we're so fixated about how we look as far as, like, aesthetics training and looking a particular way and trying to build confidence in how we look, like being comfortable in our own skin. And I just think, like, that's a wrong way of looking at confidence. Like, confidence shouldn't have anything to do with how you look aesthetically. It should be how you feel, how you move. Because dating it back to, like, the biological quality component of it, like, our evolution, like, if we were more physically superior, our chances of survival would be much higher. So the more true physical health that we have, like less restrictions, aches and pains, Like someone who has like terrible mobility. I know like mobility is kind of a buzzword, but like someone who has terrible mobility in primitive times, you wouldn't be able to escape shit, and you'd be very weak to external stimuluses because you're fucking neutral spine hip hinging while a bear is trying to fucking attack you or something like that. If you have good movement quality, you would have had a higher survival rate. So now there's a biological component to us. Like if we have this physical health, this movement capacity, this amazing aerobic system, you're going to start feeling more confident, like, I can fucking do anything. Like, you're going to start believing in yourself. And that's just a biological quality, because people back then would probably look at you as, like, the alpha, the leader, the person that's going to help us, the physically superior one. So, like, this is how we build true confidence. It's like being in your function, your resiliency, your strength, your aerobic system, like being genuinely physically fit, not what we think fitness is today, but, like, being genuinely a fit Homo sapien or a strong Homo sapien, like you're just naturally going to have way more confidence and more belief just on a biological level because of that.
Yeah, I think, and we all know that when you overcome those things or you become that way, automatically your mental health will change.
Yeah.
You know, so it'd be great. I mean, for you, you train like 5 hours a day sometimes. Like, that's another thing I wanted to ask you. So how the fuck do you do that? Like, how, like, actually, that's one thing. What's your process?
Yeah.
What is your, I mean, maybe that's too open a question, but what's your process of training wise? Like, how do you train? How do you structure your training? How do you do your training? What do you prioritize? Like, you know, what's your process for that?
Yeah. So, I mean, typically I train every single day, 3 to 6 hours. Now, obviously there's going to be some days, like random, like a couple of weeks will go down the line. Maybe I'll only train for like 90 minutes. On a given day, but typically average is 3 to 6 hours.
Wow.
The first training session will typically be a 3-hour joint specific strength training type session. So for 3 hours, I'm just focusing on movement capacity, movement quality. I'll come home, I'll eat, and then maybe like in a couple hours after that, I'll go and do an aerobic session. So that's when I do my zone 2 type aerobic work, and that will be. It could be anywhere from like 2 hours to 3 hours, sometimes like 1 hour, depending on the day and the intensities and stuff like that. But typically it's a 3-hour first session of joint specific strength training, followed by some aerobic work after that. Wow. Primarily zone 2 aerobic work, which, like, going back to the health talk that we were having, like, that's another huge component that our society is fucking up today, is that low intensity, steady state aerobic work. So kind of dating back to more evolutionary biology, like, Homo sapiens back in more primitive times, like we were getting way more physical movement every single day for long durations throughout the day. Yeah. And a lot of it was aerobic driven. And it was more walking, hiking, dancing, reproducing, and a lot of other stuff. So we were doing more aerobic work, and it wasn't high intensity 20 minutes smash yourself Tabata type shit, you know? Yeah. So and like the zone 2 component of it is so critical for our health on so many levels. Like that's where we build our true aerobic base, but we also don't stress out our nervous system by going to those higher thresholds and destroying your nervous system. So it helps with your anxiety, it helps with your stress, it helps you sleep, it helps with depression, it helps with so many mental issues, and it makes you so much happier. Like you have that endocannabinoid system that literally gets you stoned when you do that type of work. So it's telling you that this is good for you. So it's trying to make you happy, to remind you to do it. So like that's such a huge component that people do not utilize. They want the quick work. They want the 20-minute smash yourself.
Human nature.
Yeah,
Human
shortcuts.
Nature, quick, easy, one swipe to buy on Amazon.
Yeah, I do that shit all the time.
Yeah, it's human nature. It's human nature. Like I 100% agree with you. That's the way we should be going. But same time, I don't blame people for not being that, because it's human nature in a way. People think like if someone watching this say 3 to 6 hours, like what the fuck? I don't have 3 to 6 hours in my fucking day. Like I got like half an hour in my day. I got 5 kids. I got this. It's like, but so how do you? I mean, obviously you train clients, right? Do you know what Netflix is? Do you watch Netflix?
I barely watch TV. Like the only thing I really tune in for is NFL and UFC. But like even like this, like I used to be like a diehard NFL fan, and this year I might have watched like 8 games, which is like I would have watched that in one day like a couple years ago.
Wow, really?
But like the only time I really throw on the TV is for NFL or UFC. That's really only it. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're pretty like laser focused most of the time.
For the most part, yeah. Like I don't have too much downtime. Like I don't fuck around too much. Like it's like get my client sessions in, which could be like 5 to 6 hours of my day, and then try to get like another 4 to 6 hours of training in that day. eat, get my stuff ready for the next day, and just rinse and repeat. And I try to get 9 hours in bed, 8 hours of sleep, ideally. So
what time do you get
up? So typically I'll get up at like 5:15 a.m. And I'll get into bed at like 7:45, 8 p.m.
Really? Yeah. So I'm cutting it close.
Yeah, you're good.
Have you already had your dinner?
I usually like eat my dinner at like 4.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's like another level of commitment. Most people would see that and be like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, people look at me as like extreme. They're like, how do you commit to that? But like, I love it so much and like I'm passionate about it. So like, it's not hard for me to like do that type of lifestyle. And like, if you do it consistently enough, like we were talking about, you're just gonna adapt to it and you're gonna start enjoying it. And your body's gonna actually need that. So now when I get like less than 3 hours, or even if I get just 3 hours, I'm like, fuck, that was kind of a shitty day. It was like I barely got anything done.
Jeez. So I mean, like, what about like, say, socially? Like, do you go out? Do you like have fun? Like, I mean,
I talk to you. That's about it. No, I don't go out too much. I mean, on occasion I will. Yeah, I don't socialize all that much outside of work. On occasions I will here and there, but they're very rare. I'm very like structured and routine, and I love my routine, so it's hard to kind of get me out of it. But like on occasion, like might go on like a date here and there, and
so ladies,
cute girls.
That's the question. Are you single?
Sometimes.
Sometimes you're single.
No, I am single, but I don't know if I can commit to anything right now because I'm so committed to this. It's like I have to see this out, and like I have to give it at least like I don't know how many more years, but like 3 to 5 more years of like just being laser focused, and I want to see how much I can create. And then I think I'll be even more open to that idea of like.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
32.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but like for me, like it's that mindset for like 28 to 29 years. I pissed away my life. Now I'm in that mindset. Is like you have time. Like you have to make up lost time. So like get on your shit. And like avoid the distractions as much as you can.
I think I think because you have I think you can do what you do because you have this big contrast.
Yeah.
You've seen the other side of it. Like fuck it, I've done it. I don't need to do it now. I'm just wasting my time. Yeah. Whereas everyone else is kind of like hasn't gone that deep, been down those holes that you were in. You know, they haven't seen the shit. They haven't been in the mud like you were. So that's allowed you to be where you are now. Yeah. Because most people they have cushy lives. Most of us do. I mean, I grew up in Africa, but I wasn't like I was poor in Africa. I had a decent life. My parents gave me a great life. Lived in Australia, had a good life there. Obviously, I had my own struggles in life, but it was, doesn't sound like it was much compared to yours.
No, I would never say that.
No, but you know what I mean. So the thing is that I think it's because you have that contrast. I think that's how I can see it. How you can be so laser focused. Is because you've done all that kind of stuff. So to you, it's like, oh, fuck, that's a waste of my time. Whereas most of us were like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. Where you don't actually really need to do it.
100%, yeah. I mean, I think that extreme of that low was like so beneficial to like today, like you said. Like it gives me that perspective. Like I know like what I have to, and that's the big thing is like knowing what you have to do and doing it. It's like we all kind of know what we have to do, but how many people are like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. For me, it's like. You did that game for 28, 29 years, homie. Like, it's time to, like, get on your shit.
Do you spend a lot of time with family?
I mean, probably not as much as they like, but, I mean, I see my parents for sure, like, I don't know, once a couple weeks. Like,
not really.
Yeah, they would like to see me more, but, like, I'm very structured, I'm very routine, I'm very, like, I have to, like, do this, I have to do this. But, like, they'll still come over from time to time, and I'll sometimes stop at their house. I have them doing cars.
Oh, nice.
So, like, I see them, but, like, my parents are very much so, like, they want to be with their kids. They want to hang out with their kids a lot, and it's definitely, obviously, it can be, like, hard for me. Like, I feel bad sometimes, like, I really just, like, want to...
Dude, like, Mom, it's bedtime.
Yeah.
Mom, it's fucking bedtime.
7:45, I gotta gym.
Get the fuck out, man. I got 5 a.m. car session. Get the fuck out.
I love you, Mom and Dad. I know they're probably going to watch the video for
sure. Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. Like, most people will see that and just think, like, damn, how does this dude's like a fucking Terminator? Like, how the fuck do you train 3 hours a day? But I think that's the reason why. It's because you're so laser focused. Because you know what you want and you work so hard and you're just like, I wanted to see it out. Yeah. And I think as well, it comes to that, I think just from me talking to you, I think it's that you're coming from a place deep inside. Yeah. Not most people, like most of us, like 99.9% of us, even myself, like you do something because you think, external goal. I want this many followers. I want to buy this house, or I want to do a muscle up, or I want to squat this, or I want to do that. For you, it's more like I want to see what the fuck I can do. Yeah. So it comes from a very deep place. When you come from such a deep place like that, that's like that's a real driving force. You know, deep beliefs like that are so. It's like fucking Tony Stark. It's like his heart. Yeah. You know, it's the same deep beliefs that can make people do horrendous things. Yeah. You know, like say Hitler or like terrorists. Those deep beliefs, they're like so deep, they make people do the craziest things in the world. Yeah. And you know, thankfully for you, it's put you on a good path, and the path that you want to try and bring other people on, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely, like, I was always like that all or nothing type of person, and in my younger years, like, that all was going into like horrible things. Yeah. Like drugs or alcohol or fights, or I did some like stupid shit when I was like 17, like breaking into people's homes and stealing stupid stuff like Xboxes and airsoft guns and stupid stuff like I shouldn't be doing as a kid, and I would do it more for like the thrill and so like my all was like always generated towards like really fucked up things. So like I think that's also helped, like having that mindset, but now being able to like direct it towards something a little bit more positive. But like for sure, like I've always had like the underdog mentality. I always had a chip on my shoulder. I always felt like I have something, like I need to prove something.
That's why you love Conor.
Yeah, 100%. Like when I was like reading up on the stories like back in the day, like I was like, man, I want to be like this dude. Like I love his mindset. Like he's overcome so much. And, like he's so driven, so focused. He can achieve anything. He just like was like a savage mindset.
He's working with Tony Robbins now.
Yeah.
I think Tony Robbins will help him a lot.
I really like this new evolved McGregor, the way he's talking, and
I think it's better. Yeah, I think same thing. I think Khabib was good for him. Yeah, Khabib, because like he just he had to be beaten down to be like, oh shit, reality check. Yeah, he needed that smackdown, just like you, December 28th. You needed that smackdown.
Dude, that was a bad day, man. I mean, that was good. That was a beautiful day, but that was a rough day too.
What happened? If you don't mind me asking.
No, not at all. I mean, so obviously, you know, like my backstory with just depression and mental health as a whole. So that, like, I had many rock bottoms, and that night was my greatest rock bottom yet. Like I was in a really fucked up place, and I went out for a walk. I don't know. It was like probably like 9 o'clock or something like that. I went
bedtime, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. Well, but back then I was staying up way later. So I went out, and I went out for a walk, and to be quite honest, like it was one of those mindsets where it was like, you're not coming home. Like you're going on that walk, and you've had this talk many times before. You haven't done it. My mind, like it felt like that was the night. Like that was the night that I kind of was like, you know what, you're out. Like you have nothing. It's over. Like you need to put this to an end. So I'm going down this walk. And I sat down on this bench, and like there's like this nice scenic view of like water. I'm like just bawling my fucking eyes out, and I'm just telling myself like it's over. Like this is it. Like this is your time. And like just out of nowhere, and I'd have to imagine now it was more of a primal response, fight or flight or something like that. I had a positive vision, and up until that point, I never thought anything positive for myself. Not even like a small glimpse. But I randomly had this vision. And I saw myself turning into like some of these amazing people that we talked about earlier. Like they're big platforms, and they're amazing things that they could do with their body. And kind of like I talked about, like my body was very broken at that time. So for me to have this vision, it just seemed like so unrealistic. But for whatever reason, like I clung on to it. And I kind of like what I said, like I think it was just a primal response. Like this was like a fight or flight response. Like in my head, I might have made myself believe like this was my last night. And when I had that vision, I clung on to it. And for like the next 4 months after that, like I was like hit the ground running. I'm doing all this type of training. I'm expanding my knowledge. I'm learning about things. I'm introducing more concepts into my life. I have a new perspective. I'm positive. I'm happy. I'm just reinforcing all these things and trying to go down this right path. And it was definitely triggered by hearing McGregor talk and the way he talked and his mindset. I was like, all right, try to internalize this shit and do it for yourself. So that it was crazy, like how that night kind of something just flipped the switch and I just turned on. But I mean, as you know, like 4 months later, the concussion happened and fucked me up for like 13 months after that. So that it was crazy to like kind of go to like the lowest of lows into a new inspiration, back down, and then like a gradual decrease back to where I was before. So
stuff, dude.
Yeah, but I mean, like that led me down to like learning about my gut health. Like if I didn't eat shit and smack my head, I might have been able to implement like the physical elements of it, but I might have not been able to heal my gut. So maybe I wouldn't have been where I am today. Maybe I would have faltered again. I don't know.
That's it.
So everything just kind of led me on.
It's destiny.
And I wouldn't go that far. But...
Your destiny in a way. It's like it was meant to happen to you because that without that thing, you would not have gone that way.
Sure.
You know, without that thing happening to you, you needed that thing to.
I mean, I absolutely did, but I look at it as more like dumb luck. Like I just look at it as like dumb luck. And having the perspective of allowing you to grow afterwards. Like, that's a big thing. Like, we can allow those things to completely destroy us and, like, go down, like, this new path of negativity. Or we can try to hang in there and fight and battle and wait for a better day, you know? Wait for, like, what is the lesson out of it? And that's what I ask myself all the time. Like, what is the lesson here? Like, I told myself so many nights, I'm like, there's got to be a fucking lesson. I got to learn something from this. Like, where the fuck is it? But, like... If you have the mindset where you're looking for it, eventually you'll find it. Yeah. But if you don't, it's like, fucking my life's a waste. Like, I went down this wrong path. And you start feeding into that. And that's a big thing. Like you said, like, it's not people's fault for the paths that they go down. But if we can create some awareness of, like, hey, you just need to control a few things that you can control right now. And if you give a little bit more effort here and you stay consistent, you will grow. And it's just that reminder and something that I needed, that awareness. And then when I heard like Conor talk, he gave me that awareness. It's like, oh shit, like, why can't I think like this? And I think that's what triggered that night. It was like, why not me? Like, why not you? Like, why are you being a fucking baby all the fucking time, not doing anything about it? Yeah. Do something about it. Show me.
Yeah, so that's when you started doing it. And then I think as well, that you started doing all this crazy stuff. And then I think, did you have a big following before you went? Because you went viral a couple times.
No, so I went viral like
3 or 4 times. It was the cross and tick video, and also it was the ankle one.
Oh, the ankle. It did that one. I wouldn't say that one didn't go viral, but it spread a little bit. Yeah, for sure. The first one I posted, that was August 2018, I think, and that shit went viral as fuck.
yeah. I mean, did you have a big following before that?
No. I had probably what was I? I had like 6,000 followers. Before that, maybe like 6 or 8,000. And then after that, I got about like 15,000 new followers that just came in. And then like some of my other stuff that I posted before that was just like real movement training stuff. Like they started reposting like the new
the rehab science posted you a couple times.
Yeah, so like a bunch of people started reposting myself and started like paying attention to what I was posting about. And they're like, all right, like he's got some decent stuff. So we started spreading that out, and then it just kind of evolved from there. And I got more committed to it because before, like, I wasn't using my Instagram at all, and a lot of my friends were like, dude, why don't you post anything? Like, you're doing some decent stuff. Like, go ahead and post about it. And I was like, I don't know. Like, so I was like, all right, fine. Like, I'll get more into it. And then I posted that video and it blew up. I was like, oh, this is a good opportunity. Like, start feeding into this and seeing if I can grow this, because it kind of went back to like my overall goal.
Yeah, the platform.
Yeah. And that's the crazy thing. I'm like, how the fuck did that, like you'd say destiny. It's like, yeah. But at the same time, it's like kind of dumb luck too. It's like I'm on my couch right there smoking weed, getting high, and I'm on Instagram looking at all these fucking like arbitrary X and checkmark videos, and I'm thinking to myself like, what is this shit?
So fucking stupid, yeah.
And then I had that moment. It was like, you're gonna make a parody video out of it.
That's it.
And then it just goes viral.
That's it.